Yo, what up? Yeah, different. Obviously, I'm recording this on my phone and on my laptop because my brother ended up going to Vancouver. My brother ended up going to Vancouver and taking a laptop with him. He'd be there for 12 days. So I didn't want to wait that long to wait for the computer to come back so I can record this. So here I am recording it on my phone, my first phone video. And yeah, that's what it is. So yeah, I'm here to review Dragon Ball Super Chapter 39. You guys should know the um, the format, things that I liked in the chapter, things that it kept from the anime that I didn't like, and new things that it created, which I don't like. Um, I guess overall thoughts on the chapter, pretty shitty. I thought this was. I think this is probably the worst chapter that I've read in the entire arc, probably at least for the manga, for a number of reasons, which I'll list. That being said, there is one thing I liked in this chapter, and that was, well, I guess technically it's two things, but it was Kafla's and Shampa's acceptance of their fates. Once Kafla lost to Gohan, I thought that was good. The way that it was illustrated, and the way that it was shown, it wasn't great, but it was good. So, but that's really the only positive thing I have to say about this chapter. I have a lot of misgivings with the chapter. First off, I don't know like why in the beginning of the chapter why Beerus doesn't think that Goku, Vegeta, Android 17, Frieza, Gohan, and Roshi, why he thinks that they're not capable of thinking about having the most fighters left. And I kind of get the line of thinking here, which is that Goku, Vegeta, Frieza, and 17 at least are the ones, they're the kind of characters that don't really want to win that way, which is understandable. But at the same time, if this was a competently told story, as we see in Dragon Ball Z, Goku and Vegeta at least would have the temerity and the brains to win by any means necessary, as we see with the Genki Dama against Buu, as we see when Gohan turns into Super Saiyan 2, a whole bunch of stuff. By fusing, they don't mind not fighting one-on-one. So, but the fact that Beerus thinks that Gohan and Roshi are not capable of that just goes to show that this is stupid. And granted, Super does exaggerate everything, but this is just another opportunity for Super to do that, to pander to said exaggeration, and it pisses me off. Also, in this chapter, there was a lot, like I've been criticizing from him the last couple of chapters. Well, not the last couple of chapters, pretty much every chapter he's put out since he started with Battle of Gods. There's unnecessary panels from Toyotaro that he draws. So, and if you take these panels out, honestly, it would kind of feel more like what Toriyama was drawing in the original manga. And so I actually picked out two. I'm gonna start doing it this way because when I've pointed it out like in the previous chapter reviews, the way that I've done it is that I haven't given like specific like the page number. So here I'm gonna do that. So there's two that I picked out, which was Kafla's reaction to Gohan's punch on page 3. If you just take out the panel where she has like this, she has like this look of like what on her face before she dodges Gohan's punch. If you take that panel out, the action would flow a whole lot better. And then the other, another unnecessary panel which he drew was Shampa's face before he speaks on page 12, before he's like killed by Zeno, where he's just not saying anything. You take that out, and it's those kind of panels which really like make it jarring. You take those out, and everything would be fine. But he puts them in for whatever reason. Then Gohan is this really stupid answer when he's talking with Kafla about like why he doesn't need to transform into a Super Saiyan, which it's not why he doesn't need to transform into a Super Saiyan. That makes sense for the most part. It's Gohan's idiotic answer of saying that he evolved as a human and not a Saiyan. That really makes no fucking sense whatsoever. Like, what does that even fucking mean? What does that even fucking mean? I evolved as a human and not as a Saiyan. Being human or being Saiyan had no bearing. That was never an issue. You weren't Piccolo. You weren't Yoko Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho, where you were balancing your Saiyan side and your human side. Being human or being Saiyan had nothing to do with your power. You never once had a problem with your Saiyan heritage. I have no idea what the fuck Toyotaro was doing over there. This is the kind of stuff that really pisses me off because one, obviously Dragon Ball is my favorite series, and two, I care about it a lot. But three, it's just like nonsensical, like out of the blue stuff. Like what Gohan was saying here was like pretty much like Vegeta saying, my left nut is blue and my right nut is green, and that's why I'm a Super Saiyan. It's just like you literally made something up to justify someone's power, and it's just it's so stupid. It's so dumb. Um, Krillin acting shocked that Gohan has natural talent shouldn't be that should not be a reaction, considering that everyone already fucking knows that Gohan has the most latent potential. They knew it back in the Namek arc. They knew it back in the Saiyan arc. They saw it during the Androids arc. So I don't know why people are so shocked that, oh my god, Gohan has this natural talent all over again. It's so stupid. And then Goku's reaction, where he was like, "Well, I didn't know Gohan could fight that well, bitch. This motherfucker was the one that beat Cell. Are you fucking kidding me? He's the one that had his power unlocked by the Elder Kaioshin." Then 17 is talking with Roshi when he fights Kasseral and Dispo, and then he said, and somehow 17 doesn't know Roshi's level, which I don't know how that's possible, considering, if I remember correctly, 17 and 18 knew about the Z Fighters when they were first awakened by Jiro, right? At least they knew about Goku. What I don't understand why he thinks Roshi is strong at all. You know, the Vegeta in the anime, I think, did it better when he was like, "Yo, old man, you should just like jump off the ring. Your work here is already done." And the other thing is like 17 was the one. He was the one that beat the fuck out of Piccolo and Tien back in the Androids arc. So this comment that like, "Oh, you're actually strong after all because I can't sense ki," is so stupid. And honestly, at this point, like, it's not even like a third into the chapter, but it just revitalizes like my pure hatred for Super as a series. Then Beerus has some dumb comment about how Frieza is freeloading because he's not helping them fight. And to me, this was just like another stupid thing, because if Frieza rests, that's your third strongest fighter behind Goku and Vegeta, right? That's the third strongest fighter that's on the team. So I don't know why Toyotaro decided to write this. Kafaj and Champa's acceptance of their fates, that was good. That was the only good part of this chapter. And when Champa left, right, I know people are going to bitch about Champa's last words to Beerus, and I understand that. But the way Toyotaro wrote it, I think, is appropriate, in my opinion. I much prefer the anime's version, don't get me wrong. I much prefer the anime's version where Beerus was like, at least smile. Because it just to show that they care about one another, and I like that. But being abrasive to the end, where they just like where they're jerks to one another even when they die, I think that also works. So even though I prefer the anime version, I think this works fine too. Champa's last words to Beerus, though the actual words are just fucking dumb. He's like, "Don't think this is like me actually losing to you." And again, these are the kinds of dialogues, these are the kinds of situations, these are the kinds of scenarios where it's just like Dragon Ball starts to feel too much like a modern shonen, and that's my problem with it. Yeah, it's just stupid. Goku and Roshi conversing, that was bullshit. Like when Roshi tries to teach him, like the whole Roshi fighting Jiren thing, which everyone had everyone up on an uproar on Twitter. And I'm gonna comment about that actually, but it's shit like that where it's just like, I don't understand how anyone can say like Super is good, like after seeing that. Toyotaro trying to make Goku unseasoned is bullshit, since Goku is 46 and he's been trained over and over again, and he surpassed everyone in strength for the most part. And trying to make Goku like this newbie, unseasoned, inexperienced warrior when he's 46, or he's about to, or what is he, like 42? Yeah, he's like 42 or 41, whatever, however old he is, right? He's in his 40s at least, because this is at least 5 years before the end of Z when he's 46. Even though he's technically 39. Well, not technically 39. He's 46, but he's experienced 46 years of life, but his body is that of a 39-year-old, or rather, not a 39-year-old, a 38-year-old, because I forgot the one, because it's 7 years between Cell and Boo, and then it's the 1 year that, or close to the 1 year that he took in the Saiyan arc. So together that's around 8 years. So he's 46 at the end, but his body is that of a 38-year-old. But the point is, like, Goku, he's not Kid Goku. He's not Naruto. He's not Luffy. He's not this unseasoned. Well, and not to say that Luffy right now is unseasoned, but he's not like this young, inexperienced, up and coming fighter. That's not what Goku is. He's a veteran. He should be a veteran. That's what he is, a veteran. Vegeta is a veteran. They're not these. And this is the other thing. This is a problem of Super that I haven't really talked about. But the fact that Goku and Vegeta have been reduced to students, like just straight up inexperienced students, is very wrong, and it feels wrong for their character, because doesn't feel like a natural progression of what they should be after Boo. If they're going to become students once again after Boo, when they were like the two or three strongest warriors in the universe as described by Elder Kaioshin, then what the fuck is the point? You know? These dudes are old. They're veterans. These guys aren't up and coming youngster, like hot-headed, impulsive fighters. That's not what they are. And so not only the manga has done this, obviously the anime has done this with them, like just getting like effortlessly dealt with by Whis for the most part, right? Of course, Super has done, and so like yeah, Super has done that to him and Vegeta, but that doesn't mean that it works and it's okay. You know, he's a grown man and a grown fighter. Both of them are grown men and grown fighters already. Then Roshi has this other dumb line of dialogue where he's like, "Don't get caught up in the opponent's power." And honestly, at this point, I just had to like facepalm and just like honestly like jerk off or something, just because like I was too stressed. Because dude, getting caught up in power, the problem with Super, you know, the Devil's Redux, right? Devil's Corpse TDC on Twitter had a TDC Redux had a fantastic quote about this, where it was like, you know, it's okay to incorporate tactics into Dragon Ball fights after Boo, but not to the point that it supplants power. You know, there was already power scaling and power levels from the original manga. That's why we knew that Krillin could never defeat Majin Buu. That's why we knew Yamcha could never defeat Cell. There's such a thing as power scaling. There's such a thing as power levels. That is an actual thing. Yamcha is not going to beat Cell. Okay? Fucking Piccolo is not going to beat Buu. Vegeta is not going to be able to beat Gotenks, at least during the course of Dragon Ball Z. So the fact that you're trying to compensate for this by doing tactics, it completely goes against Z. Because if this was viable, then you would have seen this happen, like Roshi fighting Boo before he got turned into chocolate, for example. You would have seen Krillin do this against Recoome before he got every bone in his fucking body broken by one kick, right? These are things that you would have seen if tactics were that important. For instance, and actually no, before I get into that, getting caught up in power is what every fight was decided on. Every fight for the 95 to 99% of fights were decided by just the other character being stronger than the other. Now, that's not all it was, but that was the main thing, right? The only fight that I can think of that wasn't decided by power was Goku and Piccolo versus Red, which was the very first fight in Z. And then if you want to count filler, it was Goku versus Paikuhan in Dragon Ball Z. Because, you know, if you watch that fight, Paikuhan was stronger than Super Saiyan Goku, right? I think if you watch the fight, that much is obvious. The only reason Goku won is because he found an opening in Paikuhan's attack and Kamehameha'd him out of the arena. That's why it happened. So, but again, getting caught up in power is what every fight was decided on. Gohan versus Cell was decided on power. 17 versus Cell was decided on power. Piccolo versus Cell was decided on power. Fucking Vegeta versus Android 18 was decided on power. Goku versus Frieza was decided on power. Recoome versus Krillin was decided on power. Every fight, for the most part. Gotenks versus Buu was decided on power. Gohan versus Buu-Tenks was decided on power. Even though Buu did absorb Piccolo's brains and that did help him. Right? But the point is, power was always having a higher power level, having more power key, whatever you want to call it, than your opponent is what helped to determine a fight. Right? And again, tactics did matter, but only when the power required was already obtained or was already there by the participants. So that's why something like Goku and Piccolo versus Raditz worked, because Goku, Piccolo, and Raditz were the three strongest characters in the series at that time, at least from what we knew of, right? If you read from chapter 1 up until the chapter, or you watch from episode 1 of Dragon Ball up until the episode or the chapter with Raditz, you know that the three strongest characters in the series at that point are Raditz, Goku, and Piccolo, right? Those are the three strongest characters. And the fact that tactics was viable there was because, yes, the power gap, right? They were the three strongest. There was first, and then there was second place, and then there was third place. So that was viable. Now, if something like this were to happen between Roshi and Jiren, that obviously doesn't make sense because there are just so many people in between. This is like first place. Like, say Jiren was first place, Roshi would be like 11 millionth place or some shit like that. I don't know, right? And that's a problem. The other thing is, like, tactics worked like when Super Saiyan Goku versus Frieza happened on Namek, right? A tactic was used of draining his power, right? Frieza's energy was drained. Frieza's energy was drained, but only because, right? Well, not only because, but the reason why Frieza losing the way that he did was, one, obviously Goku was just stronger than him, you know, just definitely, obviously, that much is obvious. Even though Frieza did get a couple good hits in, right? Goku clearly had the upper hand. But the fact that Goku decided to draw out Frieza, like his power, his ki was draining in 100% form, a tactic like that was viable because Goku and Frieza at that point in the series were the two strongest characters in the fucking series, right? You try pausing this to someone right after DBZ ends, right? You try positing that Roshi could do this. If Roshi can do this against Jiren, you would have to make someone believe that Roshi can do that against Boo and Cell. And you try positing, you just go up to someone and show them Roshi doing this to Jiren and then saying that this character, Jiren, is stronger than Boo and Cell. And then you try positing this to someone right after DBZ ends and well, as everything with Super, you start to see like this is all bullshit. This doesn't make any fucking sense. And then, Roshi has like this thing about like, oh, what is true strength? You'll know all about power, but now let me teach you how to move well, because obviously I don't think I need to explain it, but this is fucking retarded for obvious reasons too. Something like this never decided or helped in a fight how you moved. Piccolo learning to move like is not going to like do anything against fucking third form Frieza. Like being able to move better is not going to be able to do shit against them. But here's the thing. The most important part of this chapter, well, not the most important part, but an important part of this chapter is it just goes to show like why Ultra Instinct is such a dumb basis for a form in the series. And that was when Beerus and Whis reacted when they saw Roshi move the way that he did. Their reactions go to show why Ultra Instinct is such a dumb basis for a form, why it shouldn't be a form at all. Because if someone as weak as Roshi can somewhat start imitating and doing Ultra Instinct, even if it's only like a very little bit, right? Then what is the point of it being a form? Right? I've already explained like why it shouldn't be a form like before. Like being able to subconsciously move shouldn't magically change the color of your hair, right? I can understand increasing the size of your ki, or being put under a spell like what Babidi did with like the Majin people, absorbing someone. I get those. Those make sense, right? Those are things that have been tried and tested for ever since Dragon Ball Z ended in 1995, right? We understand that, and it's been replicated in other series like Hunter x Hunter and Yu Yu Hakusho, right? So that's okay. But to just subconsciously move on your own and that unlocks like that's like a new form, that's stupid, right? That's stupid. But that's not the point. I mean, that is a point of like why Ultra Instinct is dumb to begin with, but not for this particular situation. The reason that Roshi moving the way that he does, why it goes to show that Ultra Instinct is dumb, is because if someone as weak as Roshi, right, can someone start imitating Ultra Instinct, even if it's only a little bit, then there's no point of it being a form, because Ultra Instinct, Acid and Super, is a technique of the gods. That's what separates, say, Whis and Beerus from someone like Chaozu, right? I mean, of course, there's the fact that they're already super strong and shit, but this is a technique of the gods. People should not be able to even slightly imitate a technique of the gods. And obviously, like I said, this form is bullshit considering Goku has been... this form is also bullshit considering Goku has shown to be able to instinctually react in every fight he's been in. And I was talking to... shout out to Ripper30. I was talking to him this afternoon when I was at work. I was DMing him in Twitter, on Twitter. And I was just giving him examples. Goku versus Tien. Goku versus Tien, he was able to know what Tien was going to do without turning his eyes, right? And even though that's not exactly the same thing as having your body react on its own, it's a form of using feints and being able to dodge and being able to know what's coming, right? That's the thing about Ultra Instinct. That's one thing about Ultra Instinct, right? So then there was also Goku versus Yakan when he could sense the air currents, which is another reason why Ultra Instinct is so stupid. Because if you can already sense the wind currents, then you already know how to dodge. Vegito did this against Buhan when he used steam. Remember when after Buu absorbed Gohan, and there was this part in their fight where he expelled steam from his head, and he was blinding Vegito's his eyes, and Vegito still beat the shit out of him because he could still sense his ki and feel the wind currents. Remember that? So obviously there's a bunch of information in the original manga, in the original series, that goes to show like why Ultra Instinct is just stupid and should not be a form. But here here the bullshit is just like ramped up to 100 because Roshi is somehow dodging Jiren's hits, and somehow he takes a punch from Jiren, which, at this point, like, I'm so tired from work, like I just don't have the energy to like explode in anger. Then for some reason Roshi tells Goku to look into his heart for him to find the answer to Ultra Instinct, and then Goku has this really forced like, oh, I was this bad student all the time, and it's so stupid, right? So Roshi telling him to look into his heart is stupid for obvious reasons, right? Because one, it's forced dialogue. Two, it's just like Roshi. If the fate of the world was at stake, right? He wouldn't be trying to teach Goku. He'd be trying to tell him like, yo, this is what you got to do, man. Right? Telling him to look into his heart is not doing that. Just tell him like, yo, dude, just don't start moving without thought, right? And the fact that Goku has to remember that is just Toyotaro over kidifying him, over making him like overly vulnerable, and that's just dumb and wrong and stupid. Jiren calling Goku inexperienced is pretty much like what is wrong with the chapter, though, because like I was saying before, Goku isn't some newbie who's still learning, or at least he shouldn't be, right? Here's the thing: if you're gonna tell me that there was a Dragon Ball series after Z, right, after Buu rather, and Goku was going to get training, or he was going to learn something new, not just Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, Tien, Gohan, whoever. Okay, fine, that's fine, but you have to show that appropriately. If Goku is just if he's beaten like pretty much, if he's the strongest person in the universe, which he is, right? At least when he gets Ultra Instinct, and whether he's stronger than Grand Priest or fucking what's his name, Whis, we don't know, but the fact that he can do that, right? The fact that he could do that is that goes to show that Goku is already like a teacher and a master, and he's grown at least as a fighter, and he's obviously grown as a character too. And I make videos on character analyses and all this stuff on him. But the fact that Goku has to be reduced to a student like that again is just so jarring and awkward, right? So the fact that Jiren tries to posit him as inexperienced because he hasn't learned all of Roshi's lessons is dumb, because he's not some newbie who's still learning, or at least he shouldn't be. And again, can you imagine like this something making sense during the fights in Z, like when they fight Buu, or they fight Dabura, or they fight 17, 18, 16 Cell, or Frieza, or any of the Ginyu Force? Of course not. It doesn't make sense. And then Toyotaro has like Goku's like hair fall over his face, and like having it be shaded as though he just got beat up on spectacularly, right? As though like, it's like a movie 4, right? When Goku was fighting Lord Slug, and then right before he turned out false Super Saiyan. I said Super Saiyan there, but which is technically the right way to say it. But when he goes false Super Saiyan, right? When he goes false Super Saiyan, that's a situation where you can understand like Goku's like his eyes being like covered by his hair, or his eyes being like whited out, like no pupils, because the dude just got like beat the shit out of, right? And he was getting really beat up by his slug, obviously. So that's the situation where it matters. Not when Roshi just got taken out by like one hit, and then fucking, it's so dumb, dude. Like, this dude doesn't know how to tell a good story. And so yeah, fuck Toyotaro for that. Goku saying he doesn't want to be perfected isn't consistent characterization either, considering that this dude is always trying to be the best he can be. So when you're the best that you can be, yes, you are a perfect version of yourself. So, and Goku, obviously, if this were Dragon Ball Z Goku from 1989 to 1995, he wouldn't say this. He would not say this. 1989 to 1995 Goku would not say what he just said against Jiren about him, like, oh, I don't want to be perfect because that means I stopped training. The dude doesn't love fighting that much, okay? He knows when to rest. He knows when to take a break. And obviously, Super has forgotten this in general. And anyway, the point is, it's inconsistent also because he does get perfected in a sense when he uses Mastered Ultra Instinct. So I don't understand like what Toyotaro is thinking by like having him say this, because Goku is not that type of character. He just isn't. And then Jiren does some little shockwave, a little Ki. And this is another unnecessary panel that I was talking about. That elicits such a shocked reaction from the crowd, and that makes no sense. And at this point, like, it's towards the end of the chapter, but I'm just thinking, like, I'm thinking to myself, like, God, I hate this fucking shit, right? Like, it's just so stupid. And I've been using that word stupid a lot, but honestly, it's just stupid because it has nothing to do with anything, right? It's nonsensical, it's stupid, it's inane, it's every single sort of adjective that you can think of to describe bullshit. And I've pretty much already done that with Super as a whole, because Super is bullshit. It's Dragon Ball Super shit. But at the same time, it's just like it's astounding, like how many different times like I can go to this and just be like fucking like driven to like anger. Even though I'm not showing it right now because I'm fucking tired as shit. Fuck this series. Fuck Super. And then Goku calling himself a bad student about that. That was weird, but not because I can't believe Goku isn't self-deprecating. Remember, Goku has shown to be self-deprecating. When he was teaching Goten and Trunks the fusion dance in the Majin Buu arc, they called him, Goten and Trunks called Goku weak, and then Piccolo stood up for Goku. But then Goku was like, "Nah, it's fine. I really am weak. I can't even beat Buu and save this planet, but you guys can." Remember that? So that's the kind of like self-deprecation, like why I love the character, like why I love Goku as a character, because he's able to admit the truth when you know, and he doesn't do it in a lame way. This is lame as fuck. Here, him calling himself a bad student is just incredibly forced and weird and just dumb and just pretty much untrue. He was always like, I can understand if like Goku was like skipping out on like a fucking like lessons or something, but the dude, like, remember when he was against Korin and he had the opportunity to steal the water, the super holy water, and he didn't. That was an example of him playing by the rules. So I don't know like why he didn't do that. I don't know why. I don't know what Toyotawa was thinking when he was writing that dialogue. And obviously here, like, dialogue, like, it's such like dialogue is such an important part of a chapter, because it just goes, obviously, like, what you say is important. And yeah, that's pretty much the chapter, honestly. It's fucking garbage. It's fucking shit. It's fucking shit. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about this. I'm just waiting for the manga to end at this point, because I just don't want to like deal with Super or look at Super. And obviously we got the Broly movie. And I was thinking about this the other day, like, what are we gonna do after Broly, right? What's gonna happen after Broly? I wonder, like, what's the story gonna be after Broly? And hopefully there isn't, but you know, I have bad luck when it comes to this sort of thing, and we're gonna get another shitty story after Broly. So, and one other thing that I wanted to talk about was the people who are bitching about Roshi versus Jiren. Now, obviously, I don't like the Roshi and Jiren stuff either, but it's funny to me how people were saying like, oh, power scaling and power levels and power scaling don't exist, right? They were saying like, oh my god, there's no such thing as a power. The power levels all make sense in Super, right? They were saying all this stuff about power scaling and power levels, and yet when Roshi, who is a human, where people complain like, oh my god, the humans didn't get to do enough and they don't care about power scaling and power leveling, when he gets to do this against Jiren, those same people start bitching. And it just goes to show the hypocrisy and how unintelligent and how they lack understanding of how power in Dragon Ball works. And it's amazing to me because the understanding how power in Dragon Ball worked, it was so consistent, everyone understood it, right? Everyone fucking understood it until Super came out. Once Super happened, that's when everyone started to like cape for Super. And so this just goes to show, this chapter also reveals like the hypocrisy of Dragon Ball Super fans, Dragon Ball Super defenders. Because if you're going to bitch about this, where were you when Trunks killed Zamasu? Where were you when you said like Super Saiyan Rage, when Super Saiyan Rage happened? Where were you when fucking Zamasu was somehow punching Super Saiyan Blue Goku in the face, yet Trunks was holding him off with his own sword, right? Where were you when all that stuff happened? Where were you when what's his name? Super Saiyan Goku was struggling against Maji Kaio because he was being bound by like a fucking like blue jelly-like substance. And then all of a sudden, now he's beating on while Goku is exhausted, he's beating on Kale and Cauliflower. You know, it's just situations like that where obviously we're inconsistent with one another, and especially with the Kale and Cauliflower stuff, which I just described, because you know, Super Saiyan Green Cauliflower, or Kale, excuse me, is throwing Super Saiyan Blue Goku as a ragdoll, and then in a stronger form, in a more sane and controlled form, with Super Saiyan 2 Cauliflower, they're somehow struggling against Super Saiyan, or no, not Super Saiyan 2 and base Goku while he's exhausted after using Ultra Instinct. And that's the kind of bullshit that just goes to show that Super Tards and Super Capers and Super fans don't deserve this fucking series. But anyway, yeah, that's it for me. Thank you guys for watching. Kiwami 2 is going to come out in a week, so expect that. Expect uploads for that to start happening. I'm probably gonna watch Lupin right now, and then try and beat DMC 1 later. I'm on Nilo Angelo 3, Phase 3, the third boss fight. So yeah, that's it for me. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.